edition of Talking Ball with the Czar. I'm Emory Hunt, the Czar of the Playbook, here on the campus of the University of Akron with head football coach Terry Bowden. Coach, I appreciate you taking time.
Thank you so much.
Well, you've had success everywhere you've been, and from Salem College all the way now to here at Akron, led these guys to their first bowl victory in program history. So you have a track record of success. What goes into building a program? Because again, you've been a winner everywhere.
Well, you know, every program's a little different. Sometimes you take over a program that's been winning and you've got to continue to win, or they've been about average, you got to take them to the top. Here we had a program that was really on the very bottom. We had gone through a couple of coaches in 3 years, 3 one-win seasons, and so you really had to build the culture of winning, change the attitude of the team so that they believe they could win. So you're trying to change a culture at the beginning, but ultimately it's about athletes. You've got to recruit athletes that are as good or better than the teams you play. I'm not going to out-coach people, no matter whether I'm at Auburn or I'm at Akron. You've got to have players equal to or better than. And I think that's what we've been able to do here at Akron over the last 5 years, is to start to bring in better athletes, add better athletes to decide they want to come to Akron so we can compete. We've come halfway there. We've been to a bowl. We've had the most wins they've ever had as a Division I team, their first bowl victory. But our goal is to win the conference. Our goal is to compete for the conference championship, and I think that's where we are coming in now.
I've been on both sides. I've been a part of coaching turnover. So at what point do you feel as though the buy-in happens from the old regime to the new regime?
Well, I think sometimes you have to clean out. You have to get rid. You got to go past the old regime. The old players. We don't have any players on our team that were here before I got here. All the players that are here are part of the players that we have now. So, you know, I think we've got the culture. We've got the athletes now. Now we just have to go out and win close games. The thing about the MAC conference is I don't care if you're at the bottom one year, you can be at the top the next. We've seen it happen ever since I've been here, of teams going from the bottom to the top. And so it's very, very competitive. You've got to win a lot of close ball games to win this conference, and that's what you've got to do. So we've been very close, and last year if we had not lost our top 2 quarterbacks, I think we would have been right there again at the top of the pack. But this year, I think everybody's bought in. We just got to go out there and play the season, win some big games.
Coach, nowadays you see young head coaches all the rage, but quite honestly, you were the first official young head coach. You were 26 years old when you got your first head coaching job back at Salem. What did you learn then that helped lay the foundation for where you are now? You
know what you learn what not to do. You know, I've been a head coach 24 years and at 5 different universities, and if you don't repeat the same mistake twice, you pretty much run through all the mistakes and you get out of them. Fortunately, I learned what not to do, sometimes in front of 500 fans, sometimes at a small college somewhere, and I think over the years you kind of learn what not to do and how to act like a coach, how to make good coaching decisions, because everything that happens, you have to make a decision. How do you act when you lose a big one? How do you act when you win a big one? How do you act when this or that happens? So I think over the years, you begin to eliminate the things that you see didn't work. So when you get to a program, you kind of know what works. And at Akron, though, it's very unique. We had to do what would win at Akron. And so that's the biggest thing you got to do, is learn from your mistakes and try not to repeat them.
And when you get those young coaches coming in, a lot of guys think they're ready for that first opportunity. What piece of advice would you give them?
Just to believe in what you're doing. Work very hard. When you're young and you got all that energy, work very hard. There's no substitute for hard work and persistence. I don't care what anybody says. You may not have the best answer, the perfect answer, but if you work hard, it will usually work until you find the best offense and the best defense. And so that almost always works. And then believe in yourself and just, you know, try to stay positive and upbeat. And that's usually the key. I mean, that's what young coaches now, as we see them come along and move up in the business.
I don't think you get a lot of credit for being known as a great offensive coach. Everywhere you've been, your offenses have been dynamic, but they've also been mentally tough. They don't flinch. They don't flake out in the fourth quarter. And that's something that I think that's impressive. That's a skill that you have to have. Is that something that can be developed? And if so, how do you get that across your teammates?
Well, it needs to be developed. And I'm not really running the offense like I used to. Just like my dad gave up his play calling later in his career, I've kind of turned a lot of it over and just trying to give guidelines and tips to my offensive coaches. But one thing never changes. You've got to be a mentally tough football team to be successful. And you've got to create that in your team and instill it in your team that they're mentally tough. Can they practice when they don't feel good? Can they take criticism? Can they have poise under pressure? Mental toughness is something I think you have to work on every day with your players, of getting them not to flinch when get into a tight situation, to believe themselves and to fight and scratch every minute of the day. We have an old saying here, and we ask every one of our players, will you fight or will you quit? Will you fight or will you quit? One day it's going to be too hot. One day you're going to be too sore. One day the other team's going to be too good. Are you going to fight or are you going to quit? We try to ask that of our players every day. Let us know where you stand. Are you going to fight to the last minute or are you going to give up somewhere along the way? That's what mental toughness is all about. Never, never, never quitting.
And would you consider that to be a part of your coaching philosophy, or something that you really try to come into whatever program you are and set the tone early?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, if you know, I was always the littlest guy in the family, the littlest guy on the field, the littlest football player, the littlest coach. I was always a guy that had to work harder, try to give more, and be more persistent. So that's always been my motto. We're going to be persistent. We're never going to give up, and we're going to be tough-minded. And I think that's something that I've had to do to be successful in my life, because I wasn't the star of any football team, and I wasn't the winningest coach in my own family all my life. So I've had to fight for everything I've got. And so I think that's what I try to instill, not just in my coaches, but also in my players, everybody from top to bottom. Because I think in the end, if you never give up on yourselves, you're never out of the game. You're never out of the game, especially in the MAC, when you don't know who's going to win the MAC or play for the championship until late November. Until the last 2 or 3 games, we have no idea who's going to win the conference. So you have to be tough-minded, face some tough games early, never give up on yourself, and then try to hang on there and win it at the end.
Coach, we remember a time when there were only 3 schools that everybody knew about, maybe 6 on TV, but now with the internet, it seems like everyone knows about every program, so students have a lot of options. Why would a student athlete choose Akron?
Well, I think the family atmosphere here, and just you know, I'm in the family business of coaching football. This is the 62nd year in a row that a Bowden has been a head coach in college football since my dad started in 1955. We've always been a part of it. It's our family way of life. I'm coaching children of people I coached years ago. I'm coaching grandchildren of people my father coached, and I think we know how to treat young men. I have a coaching staff that's got a lot of years of experience. Chuck Amata is about 10 years older than I am, has coached a lot of young men. And we coach our players like we coach our children, and we treat them like we treat our own family. And I think it's the most important thing as you get older. And I don't want to say I'm too old, but I think I'm a little older than some of the young guys. You learn how to take care of people and have a little more compassion. Sometimes when you're young and you've got that tunnel vision and all you think about win at all costs, I've got to make my career. I've got to go out and win, or else I'm never going to be there. I'm never going to be over here. But I think here at Akron right now, if you want to go and learn how to play football from old school guys, my brother's been a receiver coach for 35 years. Chuck Amata's probably put out some of the best linebackers in college football over the years, and on down through our ranks, you've got coaches that know how to develop you, but also know how to mentor you. So if you want to send your son, or as a son you want to come to a place where not only you can be prepared for the NFL, but I think you could be mentored by coaches that have done it for a long, long time. And because people have sent us their sons and their grandsons, I think that it's a proven track record of developing young men.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you this, it's been an honor. I'm an analyst, but I'm also a big fan of football and college football. I'm a big fan of your coaching style and what you were able to do. I grew up watching those old Jefferson Pilot sports when you had Auburn and things like that. So I'm honored to be here, and we definitely wish you the best of luck moving forward, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.